The stories you are about to see are real. The rewards up to $5 million are real. This is Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous, the criminals don't.
Lieutenant Blaze Dresser of the Richmond County Sheriff's Office sent this in to Crime Stoppers. On 11/18 at 10:48 hours, Richmond County deputies responded to 1861 Gordon Highway in reference to a burglary in progress with shots fired. Deputies arrived and spoke with the homeowner, who reported that while inside his residence he heard a noise at his front door. A short time later, the homeowner heard a loud noise and discovered his front door had been kicked open. The homeowner came to the front of his residence, where he located an unknown black male, later identified as Tai Hua Sean Trez Walker. He's 17 years of age, of the 2500 block of Lyman Street, standing in his kitchen. The homeowner also saw two more unknown black males entering the front door. The homeowner fired multiple times at Walker and struck Walker in the stomach. Walker and the two unknown black males then fled the residence on foot. Walker was later located at a residence on the corner of Vanderveer Road and Kentucky Avenue, where he was left outside by the other two suspects. The homeowner where Walker was left was alerted that Walker had been shot and called 911. Walker is currently receiving medical treatment for his gunshot at an area hospital and has been booked into the Richmond County Jail. Walker has been charged with one count of criminal attempt burglary, which, here at Crime Reports, we think that should be home invasion, since the homeowner was home and they invaded his home. They kicked in his front door, but we're going to run with it. And, Richmond County Sheriff's Office says it's criminal attempt burglary. If you know who or where the other attempted burglars may be, please call Lieutenant Blaze Dresser at 706-533-5885. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or text your tips to 803-441-8744, where you remain anonymous and get paid. If more information becomes available to the Public Information Office, updates will be provided during business hours, Wednesday, 11/19 at 08:30 to 1700 hours. This was sent in by Lieutenant Blaze Dresser of the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. Violent crime. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office is looking for the two black males you see on your screen. They walked into the Grovetown Walmart on October 29th and used a universal key to get inside two cash registers to steal all their cash. The first theft occurred at about 9:30 p.m. October 29th, and they got away with about $1,200 from that cash register. Then they came back about 15 minutes later, and they took about $200 from another cash register in the same Walmart. If you think you know who or where these black male cash register robbers might be, please call the Columbia County Sheriff's Office at 706-541-2800. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or text your tips to 803-441-8744, where you remain anonymous and keep your cash.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
Savannah reports 9 shootings in 3 days. If you watched Crime Reports and Rewards last week, you heard about a street gun battle that broke out last week, killing 2 young men of color. Now, Savannah has suffered a surge of gang violence with 9 shootings reported from Friday to Sunday night, 2 of which were fatal also. Savannah Chatham police don't believe any of the incidents are related, but a number of the shootings involved what Police Chief Joseph Jack Lumpkin called risky behavior. Now, police say many of the victims aren't cooperating and witnesses aren't coming forward with information. Police went on to say, "We're troubled by the number of incidents as well as the fact that many of the victims of these shootings have been uncooperative with investigators. We continue to ask for your citizens' assistance in calling us when they see something, calling us with information they may have regarding any of these incidents." Police are asking, if you saw something as a citizen, let us know. If you saw something or know something, please call or contact us as we go about trying to keep you, the citizens and visitors of this community, safe. Police have said, we must weigh their fear of giving information to the police against their friends and family members dying in the streets as a result of gang violence. This violence goes across ages, races, and geographical boundaries into different neighborhoods. But these acts of violence indicate that there is a deeper problem beyond what the police by itself can do, beyond what the public as itself can do. But in fact, we've got to work together to make this a safer community. Police were quoted as saying, "If anyone in this community knows anything about any of these crimes, you can report these crimes anonymously, and we urge you to help us stop the violence in this community. We're in a state of emergency." Authorities say community involvement remains the biggest challenge the department faces when trying to solve these types of cases, and the investigators are not getting the type of cooperation that they normally see. They are, however, working relentlessly on these cases. The challenge is, and will continue to be, to get citizens to participate in maintaining their own safety. We have some clues and we're following the evidence. That's what police officers do. We're going to solve these cases. Authorities say we have some good clues, but we need citizen support. 2 subjects got into an altercation in the parking lot at the Quick Stop at 1450 West Bay Street just after 8 p.m. Friday, and one person shot the other. A 22-year-old male was found dead from an apparent gunshot wound just before 4 a.m. Saturday. Yet a car on the 2200 block of Hudson Street in the Hudson Hill neighborhood on the city's west side. Officers believe the victim knew the shooter or shooters. Just before 4 a.m. Saturday, officers were called to 40th and Live Oak Streets on a shooting call. The victim is not cooperating, and police have said no one has come forward with information. A woman suffered a gunshot wound to the leg about 4 p.m. Saturday when a firearm held by a 14-year-old discharged through the floor in a home on Brandon Lane on the south side. Police do not believe the shooting was intentional. About 4 p.m. Saturday, Metro Police responded to the 1500 block of Maryland Avenue on the east side. The victim was hospitalized in serious condition. Police say they have no information on this case. A man was shot at a mobile home park in the unincorporated Chatham County area about 7:30 p.m. Saturday night. Police said 2 people who knew each other got into an altercation at the Riverview Mobile Home Estates off Lucas Drive, and one was shot in the arm. He was taken to a hospital for treatment, and arrest is expected at least on that case. A man suffering from a gunshot wound showed up at Candler Hospital just before 1:30 p.m. Sunday. The victim said he'd been walking in the woods along Georgia 205 and someone shot him. Police say the victim is not cooperating. The second fatality of the weekend happened around 6:45 p.m. Sunday night at the West Lake apartment complex. Police have identified 25-year-old Willie Lee Bostic as the victim, but said no victims or witnesses have come forward despite a heavy pedestrian presence in the area. A man suffering from a gunshot wound showed up in the Central Precinct on Bull Street around 9:30 p.m. Sunday. Police said witnesses heard a single shot, but no one has come forward with further information. The victim is in critical condition. Office of Justice Programs and Bureau of Justice Assistance Smart Policing Initiative will present a webinar titled The Impact of Body-Worn Cameras on December 10th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you'd like to join in with Crime Reports and Rewards and Crime Stoppers in this webinar, December 10th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, go to smartpolicinginitiative.com/TTA/body-worn-cameras and join Crime Reports and Rewards and Augusta Crime Stoppers in researching and learning more about how body-worn cameras are going to work. Thank you and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
I'm Dave Michaels. This Crime Reports and Rewards special report. With Thanksgiving only a week away, what is Thanksgiving to you? For many, it is a time to spend with family and friends, to enjoy a meal picked by King, topped off with turkey and all the dressings. And afterwards, maybe watch the Dallas Cowboys Thanksgiving football game. For others, Thanksgiving is the eve of Black Friday, the beginning of the Christmas shopping season. But actually, Thanksgiving has a very prominent place in American history. We'd like to take a few minutes to reflect on the first Thanksgiving.
The story of the first Thanksgiving. Around 400 years ago, many people in England were unhappy because their king would not let them pray to God as they liked. The king said they must use the same prayers that he did, and if they refused, they were persecuted, imprisoned, or even killed. These Englishmen left their homes and went far off to a country called Holland. In Holland they were happy, but they were very poor. And when the children began to grow, they became less godlike and did not want to pray anymore. After much talking and thinking, these English people decided to embark on a pilgrimage to the New World, America. They set out on a small ship called the Mayflower to take them across the sea. There were about 100 people on board the tiny ship. It was crowded, cold, and uncomfortable. The sea was rough. They were 2 months sailing over the Atlantic Ocean. At last the Mayflower came in sight of land. The month was November, and it was cold. There was nothing to be seen but snow, rocks, and hard, bare ground. They were tired and cold from their long journey, and hungry too. No one had enough food to eat. Many of them became sick, and by springtime, almost half of the people died. In spring, the sun shone brightly. The snow melted, and the leaves and flowers began to emerge. Some friendly Indians had visited the Pilgrims during the winter. One of the kind Indians was named Squanto. He stayed with the Pilgrims and taught them how to plant their corn, peas, wheat, and barley. The summer came and the days were long and bright. The Pilgrim children were very happy in their new home, Plymouth Rock. When it was autumn, the fathers gathered the barley, wheat, and corn that they had planted and found that it had grown so well that they would have quite enough for a long winter that was coming. "Let us thank God for it all," they said. Then they decided to have a grand Thanksgiving party and invite the friendly Indians. They prepared wild ducks and geese and great wild turkeys. There was deer meat, bread, and cakes. They had fish and clams from the sea nearby. The friendly Indians all came with their chief. They were dressed in deer skins, and some of them had the furry coat of a wildcat hanging on their arm. Their long black hair fell loose on their shoulders and was trimmed with feathers or foxtails. Before they ate, the Pilgrims and the Indians thanked God together for all his goodness. And so the story goes of the first Thanksgiving celebrated in Plymouth Colony nearly 400 years ago. As you sit down with your friends and family this Thanksgiving, remember this original tale and give thanks for all of God's abundant blessings.
Happy Thanksgiving from Crime Reports and Rewards and Augusta Crime Stoppers.
Crime Stoppers would like to invite you to Crime Stoppers Worldwide Global Tweet-a-thon. A lot of people don't realize that there's approximately 1.5 million Crime Stoppers worldwide. The sun never sets on Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers are located all over the globe. The 24-hour Global Crime Stoppers Tweet-a-thon will begin Friday, December 5th at 8 a.m. and end Saturday, December 6th at 8 a.m. If you want to sign up, go to www.poltwt.net and join Crime Stoppers for a 24-hour global tweet-a-thon. Thank you for supporting Crime Stoppers.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
Crime Stopper Val Van Brocklin discusses in Police One's, as the nation is waiting to hear from the grand jury in Ferguson and the media is pre-hyping the aftermath, the media has painted police as heavy-handed, militaristic, free speech violators, and the protesters as rioters, looters, and thugs, depending on who you listen to. Today's media has evolved into a ratings predator unrecognizable to someone who remembers when the news reporter named Walter Cronkite was called the most trusted man in America. What happens after the grand jury decision will be dissected ad nauseum in terms of public safety and free speech. Any subsequent police intrusion on free speech will be viewed in that context, along with the remaining specter of Ferguson police allegedly using a no-fly zone to keep the media helicopters out. Now we move on to cell phone kill switches to combat theft. Cell phone theft has increased dramatically. Consumer reports found that smartphone thefts nearly doubled between 2012 and 2013. 1.6 million to 3.1 million. The number of violent thefts of smartphones is also rising. According to the Federal Communications Commission, as many as 1 in 3 robberies in large cities involve a mobile device. Violence aside, the most disturbing aspect of such thefts is not the loss of the device, but all the personal information on it. Lockout, a mobile security company, estimated that lost and stolen cell phones added up to $30 billion in annual losses. Law enforcement officials have been urging the telecom industry to do more to combat theft. One proposed solution is kill switch technology. It would enable a cell phone to be remotely shut down and wiped of its information. Proponents argue it would greatly disincentivize thefts of smartphones by making them a less attractive target. Two states, California and Minnesota, have passed legislation that will take effect next year requiring manufacturers to equip phones with a kill switch. Two other states, Nevada and New Jersey, are considering similar statutes. And there's proposed federal regulation. So what's the downside to a kill switch? The concern is that law enforcement might co-opt kill switches as part of an anti-protest tool under the guise of public safety. Privacy advocates and policy organizations worry that police could commandeer kill switches to keep citizens from using their cell phones and recording functions to capture police actions, and to organize and communicate with each other during a demonstration. It's not just the privacy advocates expressing such concern. The executive director of Cal Innovates, which advocates for tech creators and users in California, originally came out in support of that state's kill switch legislation. Ferguson changed his mind. He cited the arrest of 11 journalists, police ordering journalists to turn off their phones, and a letter signed by 48 news organizations demanding police stop harassing journalists who were just doing their job, amongst his reasons. The California kill switch statute incorporates earlier legislation that requires police to get a court order before interrupting communication services. The limiting legislation, Public Utilities Code Section 7908, was previously passed after BART officials admitted shutting down the train's underground cell phone network to stop people from organizing a protest in the wake of a police shooting. Charles Blair Hill, a mentally ill man, was armed with a knife and stopped by a gun. So what does the future hold? Kill switch technology is being legislated and may otherwise be provided to consumers through a competitive marketplace to combat cell phone theft. Whether future state or federal legislation specifically addresses the law enforcement's use of the technology, it will be highly scrutinized. Law enforcement better be ready for pushback if they use it for purposes other than what it was intended for. If terrorists are using cell phones to plot an act of violence, California's exception to a court order is clearly met. Criminals using an otherwise peaceful and strident protest as a cloak to destroy property and loot is a much more attenuated justification for infringing on citizens' free speech rights. We suggest police consult with their local prosecutor's office about policies and procedures that would self-limit the use of kill switch technology to ensure it complies with the intention of any current or future legislation and the First Amendment. We don't need another loss like the last two Supreme Court decisions. We got slam dunked in. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office is looking for the suspected wallet thief you see on your screen. They suspect that he broke into a truck in Martinez, stole somebody's wallet, and made multiple purchases using the credit cards and debit cards in that wallet. Between 7:30 and 10 a.m., the man purchased $750 in prepaid gift cards and over $50 in gas at 3 different stores. If you think you know where this white male burglarizing a car or truck in Columbia County might be, please call the Columbia County Sheriff's Office at 706-541-2800. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or text your tips to 803 844-41-8744, where you remain anonymous, keep your stuff in your vehicle, and get paid.
And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
This video is of an African American who obeys the request of police officers to leave his own home he shares with his girlfriend, then is pulled over right after he leaves. Again, we don't know if these cops are using steroids or if this is how they act normally, but it points out why the public is so fearful of police using steroids, because if a civilian is acting violently, you can call the cops. But what do you do when the cops are acting violently, then deceiving the court system to put someone in prison who is afraid for their life due to actions taken by public servants who are our only recourse when we need help from the law?
This is the Bloomfield Police Department's dash cam video that prosecutors say they never saw when they pursued criminal charges against 30-year-old Marcus Jeter. Notice his hands in the air. He was charged with eluding police, resisting arrest, and assault. And also notice who throws repeated punches.
If the tape hadn't surfaced,
I was going to be doing jail.
The incident began when cops were called to the Bloomfield home Jeter shares with his girlfriend. No charges were filed, and Jeter says he left after briefly talking to officers.
they say you were eluding them.
When they were behind me with the lights on, I pulled right over,
So you weren't trying to escape?
No, I wasn't trying to escape.
In a video from the first police car, prosecutors did see Jeter stops on the side of the Garden State Parkway. The cops pull out guns.
Why didn't you just get out of the car?
Because I was afraid. There was a cop on my left with a gun pointed at me, and there was one on my right side with a shotgun pointed. I'm afraid that I might get shot.
If you got out?
The tape not initially turned over is on the dash of a second police car that comes from the opposite direction, crosses the median into ongoing traffic, and then strikes Jeter's car. There is no mention of that in any police report. When Jeter first told his attorney that part of the story,
it was incredible. I didn't believe his story at that particular point in time.
So you finally believed him then?
Yes.
The next thing I know, as he's coming around the car, the glass gets busted, and all the glass goes in my face.
Get out the car!
Your hands are up.
My hands are up. As soon as he opened the door, one of the officers reached in and just punched me in my face. As he's trying to take the seatbelt off, he's elbowing me in my jaw. And I'm like, ah! And he's like, stop trying to take my gun.
Don't go for my gun!
Stop resisting arrest. Stop trying to take my gun. And as he's saying that, I just knew, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, okay, this is gonna go wrong.
Get down! Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Why are you trying to get my gun? You lost my gun!
And right before when they opened the door about to put me in, the officer hits me in the back of the head again.
as soon as prosecutors saw this video, they dismissed all of the charges against Jeter. Interesting to note, an investigation by Bloomfield PD's scandal-plagued Internal Affairs Division had found no wrongdoing by police officers.
The blame is with the Bloomfield Police Department not providing that tape. If we hadn't had the tapes in this particular case, an innocent man would be in jail today.
I'm sure that if this happened to me, it could happen to a bunch of other people,
Scary, right?
It's a scary situation.
And we were there exclusively today in Essex County Court in Newark, where Bloomfield police officers Sean Corder, there on the left, and Orlando Trinidad, who you will see here on the right, were arraigned on charges including conspiracy, official misconduct, and falsifying reports. Trinidad is also charged with aggravated assault. They pleaded not guilty.
You've been watching Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous. The criminals don't. If you have any information on these or any other crimes, call our national tip line at 1-800-222-TIPS. Well, you'll stay anonymous and could get a cash reward. You can see this or any other episode of Crime Reports and Rewards on the web anytime at crimereportsandrewards.com. Crime Reports and Rewards is a production of Michaels Media.